I'm going to let you in on a little secret by sharing with you the reason why I think Dungeons and Dragons is so hugely popular and successful. What's that reason, you ask? It's that Dungeons and Dragons is broken. The simple truth is Dungeons and Dragons is mechanically challenged. It has been from day one. But I think therein lies its greatest strength. Dungeons and Dragons is versatile, and dungeon masters have for nearly 50 years been taking the game and tweaking it and twisting it and making it something that is altogether their own. And I think therein lies the beauty of the game, in that the foundation is there, the core is there. There have been a wealth of imitators that have come out since 1974 that have attempted to improve upon the game mechanics that Dungeons and Dragons put forward. I think where they mostly fail is in that the rules are too restrictive, too confining. Whereas Dungeons and Dragons, by being sort of loose and sometimes contradictory, that the dungeon master is able to create a game of their own making. And that's the beautiful thing about the game in and of itself. In the nearly 40 years that I've been playing the game, I've had the opportunity to play with hundreds of people. And the one thing I've always noticed is that every table is a different experience. Every group of players has a different way of looking at the game and what they want to get out of the game. I've become sort of, as I've grown older, I run a particular type of game. Now, that style has evolved over time, and I think right now I'm doing my best dungeon mastering, certainly the best that I've done in decades. I lean towards a more realistic approach. I enjoy a rich narrative. I enjoy interaction between players and non-player characters. Every once in a while I enjoy interaction between non-player characters with the players as spectators. Anything that drives the story forward, I am for. And that is the nature of the game for me, is that Dungeons and Dragons is a vehicle to tell stories with my friends. Is it challenging at times? Of course. But it's never not fun. As I've often said, your worst day playing Dungeons and Dragons is better than any day not playing it. I got to thinking about this earlier today when I read Matthew Mercer's comments after being sort of taken to task over the way he handled a critical miss in his game in the last episode of Critical Role. Laura Bailey rolled a natural 1, and he had her fumble her weapon, becoming disarmed. A critical miss is like a gift wrapped up and given to a dungeon master. A critical miss is an opportunity for narrative creativity. It presents for the player an opportunity to overcome a minor obstacle that adds tremendous flavor to the story. And I guarantee you a player is going to remember that critical miss and the events surrounding it much more than they would on just a regular hit or a successful roll. Critical misses are every bit as important as a successful crit in terms of storytelling. And to me, that is what Dungeons and Dragons is all about. It's taking that roll of the die, that random determination, and making something poetic, something beautiful out of it. And there can be beauty in error. And I think you see that time and time again at the game table. And I don't understand the internet sometimes, and maybe I'm just getting old, maybe I'm getting curmudgeon-y, but it just seems to me that people complain to be complaining, and I applaud the way Matthew Mercer handled the situation in game, but even more so how he handled the situation when people brought it to his attention. Dungeons and Dragons is a vehicle to tell stories. The thing is, at your table, it's your story to tell, and it's your story to tell any way you want to do it. There is no right, there is no wrong way to play Dungeons and Dragons. As I stated earlier, the broken, fragmented nature of the game and the way it evolved over the decades has lent itself to be whatever you want it to be. I personally will go through past volumes, manuals, looking for an obscure rule that got tossed aside through one of the edition iterations, and see something that, it's just a kernel of possibility. And when you move forward, when you build your game at your table, that's your world, man. And it's a wondrous thing, and it pains me the way people attack others and try to tell you how you're doing something wrong. The only people that can tell you that something is wrong are the people that are at your table. And I hope that all of you are out there are keeping the spirit of role-playing alive and focusing on the fun that you can have by interacting with one another, rolling dice, and killing monsters. And, sometimes not killing monsters. Some of my favorite games have had no combat at all. And that's okay. That's fun for some people and not so fun for others. Again, it only matters at your table. So kudos to Matt Mercer for handling the situation the way he did. He's a heck of a dungeon master. I see a lot of myself in his game. Unfortunately, I can't do the voices that he does, but I think he understands what I've been trying to say here, is that story comes first, and a critical miss is a critical miss. And I hope that you got something out of today's discussion, and I look forward to your comments below. Until then, happy gaming.